A god dropped a notebook that kills people into a high school courtyard. He didn't do it to punish anyone. He didn't do it to test humanity. He did it because he was bored. And so are you. That's why you're here. You've been told your whole life that you can't imagine what it's like to be a god. Creator, judge, destroyer, executioner. It's beyond human comprehension. What could a mortal possibly know? You've been doing it since you were a child. Every time you opened a book, every time you pressed play. Let me show you. First, let's be precise about what kind of a god you are, because most people get this wrong. You're not omniscient, you don't know what's coming, you get blindsided like everyone else. You didn't call the Marley reveal. You didn't see Griffith coming. You sat there with your mouth open like the rest of us. What you have isn't knowledge, it's immunity. You can see inside people's heads.
If he really was L, he'd never admit to it. I thought this guy was a bit strange, but this is pretty extreme. Stop.
You hear thoughts nobody in that room can hear. You watch a city burn and your heart rate goes up in a good way. And then you close the tab and go make dinner. Nothing in that world can reach through and touch you, ever. And that's the whole engine, because a god who could bleed would want peace.
If you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him.
Ask yourself honestly, what do you want out of a story? Not what you type in a comment section, what you actually want. You want stakes, consequences, betrayal. You want the character you love put through something that would destroy you. If it ever happens to you. Now ask the people inside that story what they want. They want it to stop. They want a boring Tuesday. They want to grow old. You and the characters want opposite things. And you win every time because you're the one holding the remote. This isn't a new observation, by the way. A Roman poet called Lucretius wrote it down around 55 BC. He opens the second book of his poem and an image. You're standing on the shore. The wind is tearing up the sea, and out there is a ship coming apart. And he says it's pleasant to watch, not because you enjoy the drowning, because you're not in the water. 2,000 years before anime existed, somebody already knew exactly why you watch. Which brings us back to the notebook. Death Note's first chapter is titled Boredom. The story announces its own engine before a single person dies. Ryuk isn't a villain, he's barely a character. Ryuk is you, drawn. You are drawn into the story. You are Ryuk. Look at what he actually does. Total access. He goes anywhere, sees everything, hears every plan, zero investment. He tells Light to his face that he isn't on his side and won't help him.
Shinigami. A god of death, huh? So what'll happen to me? You're here to take my soul, right?
Huh? What do you mean? I'm not gonna do anything to you. And when it's your time to die, it will fall on me to write your name in my death note.
He withholds information when it makes things more interesting. He watches a teenager decide his god. And his only real contribution to the plot is asking for apples. This is the audience. This is mechanically precisely what you're doing right now. And here's where people get defensive. I'm not a god. I can't change anything. I'm just watching. Well, sure, but gods don't intervene in every event either. Ryuk never picks up the notebook. He never saves anyone. He never stops anything. His presence alone is enough to keep the entire thing running, because the notebook only fell in the first place because he wanted to see what would happen. Yours works the same way. The story reached you because enough people wanted to see it. If nobody had cared, Light Yagami would not exist. You didn't write him, you found him. The people of Death Note want stability. The same stability you want in your own life. They want the killings to stop. They want their kids to come home. When you wanted to see the new world, you wanted to know how far he'd take it. When Light was winning, you were thrilled. And every person he killed was a name on a page. Then he stopped being interesting.
It was good while it lasted. We eased each other's boredom for quite a while. Well, Light, it's been interesting.
So Ryuk wrote his name. Not out of justice, not out of betrayal. He told Light in the very first episode that this was the deal. He killed him because waiting for him to die in a prison cell would have been boring. Your favorite character's story ends the moment you stop finding him useful. Ryuk just had the honesty to do it with a pen. So Ryuk is a god who watches a world. Now let's look at a world that was built to keep the god watching. I made a video about My Hero Academia, how it manufactures its own villains, how the society produces the exact people its heroes then need to punch. If you haven't seen it, watch it after this one. It's the other half of what I'm about to say. Because here's the thing I didn't say in that video. The system doesn't just fail those people, it feeds you. Deku is rigid. He's never going to do the wrong thing. That's not a criticism, it's a design choice. And it has a consequence. If a protagonist can be threatened from the inside, the story can only threaten him from the outside. It can't corrupt him, so it has to escalate. Bigger villain, bigger disaster, bigger city on fire. A world with a permanently good hero requires a permanent supply of monsters. Not for the hero's sake, but for yours. You are not going to sit through 8 seasons of a boy rescuing people from mild inconveniences. So the villains keep coming. It's easier to punch the problem than plant the cure, and it's more watchable. The society isn't broken by accident. It's broken in the shape of an offering. You are getting offered violence because it's what feeds you. Hold on. You told me Frieren was one of your favorite anime of all time. Where's the chaos there? It's an elf walking slowly across a field for 28 episodes. Every now and then there's a little violence, but it's so minuscule that nobody cares. Explain comfort anime, genius. Explain why people rewatch the quiet ones. In fact, you like Komi Can't Communicate as well, don't you? If y'all crave suffering this badly, that show should have died on arrival. Ha, you walked straight into it. Frieren already won. The quest is over. The Demon King is dead. She is functionally immortal for all we know, and she spends her days watching mortals struggle with things she will never have to face. Total access, no stakes, she outlives everyone she meets, and she has to consciously work at caring about them. She isn't a character who found herself in a story. She's a viewer who got stuck inside one. And the whole show is her problem. What do you do with yourself once you've already seen everything? When you've watched all the anime, played all the video games, done the thing, what's left? You go back, you pay attention, and you train the next one. Frieren is training 2 people. She was never going to be a mentor. As for anime such as Komi Can't Communicate, well, that's very, very simple. You basically get to simulate what relationships are without the consequences of rejection. Once again, removing yourself from the equation of consequences, and that is what I've been trying to say. It's what I've been trying to state. You are the god of a fiction here because you are immune to the consequences of these stories. That is why you want to explore everything. You're just moving the goalposts. Real people will back me up in the comments. I know. They know that I'm the one who speaks sense. In fact, ever since I took over this channel, we have been getting crazy views and subscriptions. Ignore him. He only shows up for the violence. A god who watches a world that feeds one. Last question. What happens when a god steps inside? Here's what I think Eren actually is. Eren gets the outside position. He gets memories that don't belong to him. He gets memories that don't belong to his moment in time. He can see his own story from a place and nobody standing next to him can reach. And the second he has it, he stops behaving like a person who lives there. People who live in the world make small decisions. Eren picks the maximal option, the irreversible one, the one with the biggest possible shape. That's not how a resident thinks. That's how an author thinks. That's how you think when you're watching. Go on, do it. I want to see it. Eren stopped being a character and became a reader of his own story. The moment he did, he started behaving exactly like us. If we were God, Eren is the Messiah we sent in to attack on Titan. When you sit down tonight, you open your next episode, what do you want? Do you want the greater good? The characters you love, safe, the war over, everyone home, the correct moral outcome? Or do you want the other thing? The betrayal, the death you didn't see coming, the one that ruins you for a week, and then you'll start arguing about it in 6 years. Be honest. Because they only suffer while you're watching. You're still here. What do you want out of a story? What makes you want to watch a story? If it's anything to do with what we've discussed today, then you might just be a god of fiction.